Greetings, fellow Zimbabweans. I hope I find you well in your various locations and stations, both here in Zimbabwe and across the diaspora nations. We have come again this morning, today, to look at the story of our country, the open secret that Zimbabwe is now on the verge of total collapse. The million-dollar question, though, is what happened to the mighty sunshine city, Salisbury, now Harare. How did we get it so wrong? How did Zimbabwe turn from being the breadbasket of Africa to becoming a basket case? The conventional narrative or prognosis of our problem suggests that endemic corruption, leadership failure, and political violence are the main reasons for our failure. However, after a deeper introspection, it would seem that all these are symptoms of a deeper problem, none other than a Bantu cultural and identity crisis. There is an urgent need for us to stand before the mirror and confront the truth of our identity and evolution as Bantu Africans. Please join me for a moment of discussion and reflection as we put together the foundational framework of our inclusive dialogue and negotiation process. First things first, at independence, Zimbabwe should have gone through an inclusive dialogue process in order for people to agree and determine a strategic way forward on how the new nation would be constituted and governed. This was not done and remains outstanding. We did adopt from Kwame Nkrumah a system of independence defined merely by grabbing power from the settler administration through majority rule and universal suffrage to achieve total transfer of power from day one. Total control over a system we did not know, a system which was made by the culture of another, a system which was at variance with our own culture. We also adopted his deeply held Marxist socialist beliefs. The script of Nkrumah has plunged the entire sub-region into the present chaos, taking us backwards to primitive and subsistent ways. The time to figure out an alternative governance script which incorporates the development stage and culture of Bantu Africans is since overdue. Universal suffrage, loosely defined as one adult, one vote, exercised by the uncultured and unschooled majority who are unable to cast a responsible vote, only serves to install a king or chief in a setting of unwritten rules. The president, with sweeping executive powers, is an absolute king in Bantu society across the sub-region. This absolute king, riding on the current Western democratic template, has been a failed experiment. We live in cities and towns built by another, the British settlers. Our official language, English, is from another, England. Our national borders were defined by another, the Europeans, in the 1880 Berlin Conference. Until now, since independence, we have only managed to rename the cities, towns, and streets. I can think of Union Avenue in Harare, which is now called Kwame Nkrumah. Now is the time for we Bantu people to build our own cities and define our own destiny. The infrastructure which we inherited at independence is now mostly in total disrepair. Industry and factories have largely shut down with total economic collapse. Our own Zimbabwe dollar local currency has since been abandoned. If we have any moral integrity, surely at some point we must pass the baton to the next generation and trust them to do a better job than us. The entire governance and service delivery system of Salisbury and Rhodesia was built and created on the back of British culture and its core values of democracy, justice, enterprise, and public service. These values, on the whole, do not exist in Bantu society. Against this background, one wonders what exactly we call independence and what we celebrate on each independence anniversary. Is it grabbing the creation of British settlers or handing power to an absolute Bantu king, what we call independence? The idea that the state is an instrument of people's development is a Western concept, one which is yet to be copied or adopted by the Bantu of the sub-region. The Bantu tribal society of Zimbabwe has never been remotely democratic. We are not capable to run a nation using the Western democratic template, which we inherited at independence. It took the British and Americans more than a century to develop and build a democratic social order based on majority rule by universal suffrage. However, for Kwame Nkrumah and the entire sub-region, it was just an event, and this despite the complex nature of our tribal societies. Zimbabwe 2018 elections could bring regime change, but are most certainly another event to install a new absolute king to preside or rule over subjects. Poverty and retrogression will continue unabated. Instead of adopting a democratic template and governance system based on foreign values at independence, we should have converged in inclusive dialogue and negotiation to underwrite a new script or a template that incorporated our culture and development stage as Bantu people. We have an opportunity now, during this 2017 year, to stand before the mirror and confront our identity crisis. We need to clearly define our Bantu culture and reconcile it with the Western culture that created Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe. In the end, we need to agree a new organic script that will guarantee justice, renewal, transformation, and the sustainable development of our nation. The current social order of an executive president, chiefs, bosses, spiritual fathers, men of God and village headmen will only but continue to give us more poverty and oppression. This kind of leadership only takes and fleeces the poor. We need a new servant leadership culture of givers and sacrificial leaders who will walk the talk and create a new and progressive society. Let us not allow our past failures to stand in the way. Let us take collective responsibility of our past and together today take collective responsibility to build a new Zimbabwe. Like at the time of the biblical Nehemiah, let every man and woman stand before God today with their brick in their hands to contribute towards the renewal and national reconstruction. When we do this, when we take collective responsibility and converge in inclusive dialogue and negotiation, we will be able to underwrite a new governance script and system that will give us the best chance of renewal and transformation. We will go on to build a fabulous economy and provide endless job opportunities for our college and university graduates. When we all join this platform and work together, we will be able to seek and find the truth. This truth shall set us free, and justice will be obtained for all the sons and daughters of Zimbabwe. When we stand up together and pray together and take collective responsibility to finance this campaign, we will be able to crush and defeat the mountain of political violence and obtain national integration, reconciliation, and healing for all those who have carried trauma for decades unending. Now is the time to stand together and build beautiful motorways across the country and bring an end to the carnage on our roads, especially the Harare-Masvingo Bike Road. Now is the time to restore good service delivery to the nation and significantly improve the living standards and life expectancy of all Zimbabweans. Elections have failed us time and time again. They have failed because our society is not democratic and has been driven by political violence. The only pragmatic, sure way forward, a safe passage for all Zimbabweans, a bridge from the current dysfunctional social order to a new coherent and progressive social order, is this all-inclusive dialogue and negotiation process. The convergence of equal ordinary citizens to reconcile and together underwrite a new nation. Join ZINRA today, and together let us make 2017 the year of national reconciliation and renewal of Zimbabwe. Thank you. God bless you all, and may God bless Zimbabwe.